Will Jammu and Kashmir get statehood again? Why it matters again in 2025? And who has the actual power to do it? From a full-fledged state to a union territory, Jammu and Kashmir's political journey took a U-turn in 2019. And the demand to restore statehood is gaining momentum again. Now, who can actually do this? What is the legal process of it? And is it actually possible to restore the statehood of a state which has been taken away from it back in time? Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and today we are going to understand about restoration of Jammu and Kashmir's statehood, the demand for it, the reasons for it, and why and how it can be done. When we talk about Jammu and Kashmir as a union territory, we have to understand it was created through Jammu and Kashmir Reorganisation Act of 2019, and this whole state was split up into two union territories. The first union territory was Jammu and Kashmir, the second one was the union territory of Ladakh. And we have another distinction between both of these union territories. The first one being Jammu Kashmir Union Territory comes with the legislature, whereas Ladakh is without legislature. After the enactment of Jammu and Kashmir Reorganisation Act in 2019, it became effective from October 31 in the very same year. Now, because of the change of the federal structure here, because the full-fledged state was converted into a union territory, there were some direct changes that become important for us to understand, so as we can understand why is the demand for statehood is again gaining momentum. So what were the changes post UT status? So when we talk about a UT, you have to understand that यहाँ पर centralized control हमें देखने के लिए मिलता है. Centralized control मतलब यहाँ पे जो legislature है उस union territory का, उसके पास हमें limited legislation की powers देखने के लिए मिलेंगी. That means centralized existence of power. The direct control of UT is given to Union Home Ministry. The legislation that can be done, especially by the elected government, cannot be done on key subjects like police, public order, and other key important matters. Furthermore, there are also fiscal limitations. When we are talking about money or taxations bill, they cannot be introduced without prior introduction or recommendation by the Lieutenant Governor. Now, another entity here, the LG of the UT, again in a form of agent of the center, which clearly gives us a preview of the fact that how a union territory has limited role of legislation from the elected government from that very union territory, but a lot of control is concentrated in the hands of center. Furthermore, Lieutenant Governor also gets overriding authority. So यहाँ पे final say जो है, especially most executive as well as legislative decision is with LG. Now, in this context, it gets its backing from section 53 of the Act. Now, because of this concentration of the power, the regional aspirations are sometimes compromised, the regional wants are not understood, the autonomy lacks of that particular region, and if that is required, then there is requirement of or restoration of statehood. And that is the pretty much reason that why statehood is being demanded again by the region of Jammu and Kashmir. But the question herein is the fact, can this be done? Is there a legal process to actually bring in the full-fledged statehood of Jammu and Kashmir back? So yes, there is a legal process therefore restoration. And what it requires? It requires that the main act, Jammu and Kashmir Reorganisation Act of 2019, it either needs to be repealed or it needs to be amended, and this can be done only through a new act of parliament, because this particular act was a legislation by parliament itself, then the amendment or repeal of it lies in the hand of parliament, and that needs to be passed by both houses. In this scenario only, there is a possibility for the restoration of statehood, and this provision also has a proper constitutional backing. Article 3 of Indian Constitution directly says that the parliament is allowed to form new states, alter the boundaries of the state, alter the status of union territory and states which are existing, and using this constitutional provision, the legal process is constitutionally available to the parliament that they can restore the statehood. But herein we also have to understand that there is a political process involved as well, wherein the President of India must recommend this bill. Furthermore, this is directly linked with the decision of Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. Now, I'll leave you here with the question that why do you think that President of India, for the recommendation of bill, needs the decision from Prime Minister and Council of Ministers? Which particular article of our constitution brings in this political process? Now, I hope we are clear with the legal process, how the restoration of statehood can take place, and what is the constitutional provision related with it. But at the same time, when we are talking about execution of the restoration, has it been done in past, or this would be one in a unique situation? No, restoration of statehood has not been done, but yes, union territories have been granted statehood and there have been precedents for the same. For example, Himachal Pradesh got full-fledged statehood in 1971, Manipur and Tripura got statehood in 1972, Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, 1987, Goa, which was separated from Goa, Daman and Diu, and it was given in statehood in 1987. And all of these were given statehood through the common pattern that there was a proper parliamentary legislation as per Article 3, and then these states got the statehood. But another common pattern that was seen, that whichever states herein from union territories became states, they had the regional aspiration to become a state, they had regional movements for the demand of statehood, and they also had political negotiations for the same. And in the similar scenario, we get to see Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory at the present time. Because if Jammu and Kashmir, like any other region, get the statehood, they will have democratic autonomy, they will have local accountability, and they will also have administrative efficiency. What do I mean by this? Basically, if a union territory which is centrally controlled becomes a state, it will get to elect government, and that elected government will have control over the key important matters and the legislation of the same. Furthermore, there will be answerability, greater responsiveness, which will be seen to regional aspirations of the people in that region, and the movement in terms of freedom, be it for finances, governance, that will see more efficiency as well as effectiveness. Now we have understood how statehood can be restored, what is the process, constitutional provision, what is the need for it. Now let us talk about what is the present time status. So if we talk about the current scenario, there has been constant demand, and this demand of restoration of statehood has gained momentum, and furthermore there have been repeated assurances given by the central government that the statehood will be reassured given the few parameters which need to be addressed, they are addressed. But there has been never an official timeline which has been announced. And in recent times, we are seeing renewed political pressures, including many important leaders like Umar Abdullah as well. However, we have to remember that the restoration, even though it has a legal process, constitutional backing, at present, it remains a very complex political decision, and it cannot be seen in the merely of legal or administrative one, and it directly depends on the political will of the union government, accordingly which we will be able to see the restoration of statehood probably in coming years. Now that was all from my side. Thank you so much.